Okay. 6:01, I'll call the meeting to order. We get approval on the agenda.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Okay. Thought it was muted for a second. All right. Motion by George. Any amendments to the agenda? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I think it's an
Aye.
awesome idea.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Okay. On to public comment. Does anyone here tonight wish to speak at all? All right. So moving on to the reason for the meeting. So last week, I received the email from Metawee School Board Chair Julie Mock, who's here with us tonight, and a letter from the board to discuss the Act 73 and redistricting. So I hope everyone had a chance to review it. And let's see here. And so we'll open it up for discussion. I think the purpose of this tonight would be basically to determine whether we want to consider joining a partnership with Metawee in light of the redistricting. So. And I guess if anyone had any questions specifically in regards to the letter, Julie, I assume you're okay with speaking and answering any potential questions.
Yeah, I joined tonight just in case there was any question about the intent of the letter. And I guess if you want, I can just briefly just say the intent in us sending you that letter is that we acknowledge that you maybe don't want any of Act 73 to go forward. And we understand if you don't want to dance. I guess the intent of the letter was if you were forced to pick a dance partner, would you consider choosing us?
Thank you. Okay. Anyone have any thoughts? I'll just wait to see if anyone has anything to add. So I guess when when I look at this and I read through it, I'm just curious, what do people think in regards to what a partnership would look like would be, and the way I understand this would be in a supervisory district model. Because my understanding is that if there's, because we don't know. I mean, I know that a newly formed district, but my understanding was that the BRSU was advocating for a supervisory district. So I guess, I don't know. I think that overall, I think a partnership makes sense if it's in a supervisory union. Yeah, Julie.
Yeah, so again, our intent was understanding that the task force has been tasked with drawing 3 maps, and one of those must include supervisory unions. We are not married to the idea of a supervisory district. We believe that it is the most efficient operating system compared to supervisory unions. But our point in this letter is to ask you to consider, genuinely consider, if the district draws maps, where do you truly want to land in a map? And would you consider advocating that if they draw a map, that you would maybe consider Metawee as your best partner in any map that they draw?
Anyone else?
I would just like to point out, if we were to start something to look at forming a union with Metawee, of course, we'd have to do a new Articles of Agreement. The thing with that would be if Act 73 goes full bore, all Articles of Agreement will be null and void, as I understand it. How would a union with Metawee affect the choice that our students get after sixth grade is a question I have. And I don't know if anybody's got the answer to that.
I don't believe they're looking for that. I think they're looking to just have a letter of interest to the task force of us being interested to be aligned with Metawee. I don't think we're going with any sort of merger at this point. And honestly, I don't think it would hurt. I don't think it would also necessarily be effective either. It's really very difficult to try to predict what's going to happen here.
Well, they are looking at several maps, one of which is kind of based on county. And a union with Metawee would push us across county lines. So I'm not sure how that would affect the outcome.
They're also looking at a map where we are included, actually, with the whole Southwest.
Yep. Yeah.
And they're all just looking. They may not even be able to come to an agreement to present a map to the legislator.
That can happen. So I guess my big question is, I'm not opposed to looking into forming a union with, or getting together with Metawee. My biggest concern is what that would do for choice if that were to come to fruition.
In some respects, it may be our only way to preserve choice.
If we go into a district or a union.
If we align ourselves with Metawee, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to preserve their choice. That's their goal.
And what is Metawee's choice right now?
It's the same as ours. 712 choice, and they use both interstate.
What schools? Being more specific than that.
Would you like me to answer that?
Anyone?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you.
The top 3 schools that we use right now for choice, which includes 7 through 12, is Granville, Granville, Long Trail, and BBA. And that's not in the order. I think the current order is, honestly, I can't remember if it's Long Trail first or BBA, but I believe it's Long Trail, then BBA. I think that's probably mostly because Long Trail covers all of the grades, and then Granville. Those are our top 3 schools. We also utilize Salem, Arlington, Mill River. We have Poultney. I think there's a couple of different far off schools that I assume are from relationships that have split and the parents are like sharing custody. But yeah, we have a lot of schools that we use.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would just say quickly that I know, when Eric and I talked about this meeting, that it's time sensitive. So I'm not sure if we're going to come to an agreement as a board tonight, but I would like to, only because, they continue to have meetings, and those maps, I think, have to be drawn by, the beginning of December. So if we want to have a say, I would encourage the board to make a decision tonight.
Go ahead, Julie.
Sorry, I feel like I'm taking over and I really don't want to. This is totally your meeting. I guess, one thing that I find in a lot of this, because it's such hard work, is that people really like try to wrap their minds around much more of this than the little piece that I'm presenting to you. And so I just want to be really clear that we're talking about advocacy. We're not talking about any formal mergers or any formal joining. We're just saying, if we acknowledge that the task force has the job of drawing 3 maps, and that one of them includes supervisory unions, and then the others are whatever they are, some combination of the 2 or just supervisory districts. But regardless of what their premise is, if they're tasked with putting you somewhere, your choices basically are to align north, in which you would most certainly be within a K-12 operating system. Or you could align south, where we are more open and don't operate schools, and that may preserve some level of choice for you. Would you then consider just saying to the district, we hate Act 73, we don't want it to move forward, but if you make us, our preferred partner is Metawee?
I guess I'll make a motion to sign a letter to say what Julie just said. Which is basically in the letter that she sent us. To request that you consider communicating, to communicate to the Redistricting Task Force that while we do not support Act 73, we would prefer to be in a partnership with the Metawee community. Does that sound like a motion?
I don't know if we ever communicated as a board that we don't support Act 73. I know there was pieces that maybe didn't align with, our goals, or, but I think as a whole, I'm not sure if as a board
No.
You know what I mean? So I wouldn't necessarily put that in the wording, if that makes sense. Yeah,
But-
I mean, like, sure, but I mean, I think there are parts of Act 73 that make sense, and there are parts that, don't, to me personally. But I just wonder, as a board, if we could talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think anything Act 73 is related to all this too. But we've had discussions, and a lot of it just being around a lot of the what ifs in Act 73, and then just between like the letter to the redistricting task force, wanting to be part of a supervisory union, and and then thus the GRCSU doing the same. Um, you know, that was just a form of advocacy that we've been doing, and I think the fact that it's law and it's not a matter of trying to really resist the change, but more just trying to help shape it, is the way I kind of see it. But yeah, Amanda, did you want to weigh in on any of this?
Sure. I'm driving, so I'm sorry. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. School choice is super important to me. I do not support Act 73. So if we are making two decisions here, as if we support Act 73 and taking kind of two sets of votes, I do not support Act 73. And I would like to do everything we can to keep school choice as an option. But I'm also just concerned. I'm not against the statement, right? Like, we have to go somewhere potentially. So I'm not against the statement. I just worry that, do they actually care what we put in a letter, or are we going to go somewhere else anyway? So that's my input.
That's essentially why I feel like the letter isn't going to hurt. It could kind of only help, but whether or not they bother to consider anybody's letters is anyone's guess.
Right, I would agree. I don't think that any harm can be done in a letter, because at the end of the day, I think they've already made up their minds and just haven't told the ship.
So I think one of the questions I have in all of this is, and it's just more of just like for the board to consider. Um, you know, I think a partnership would be good, especially if we're aligning our shared interest. The only concern I have is that um, the reference you made between aligning north or south. I think that whatever, because that the big piece of the puzzle around the maps, like even some of the maps that are being the draft maps, like it's not clear if it's a supervisory union or a supervisory district, and um, I don't know if like um, if this will have that kind of effect, because if we end up if they end up voting on a map that is a supervisory district, um, I think it's going to be a newly formed district, a newly formed board, however it looks, and I don't know if this will make a difference or not. So I don't know. I just wanted to. It's just kind of a concern when looking at all the discussions we've had around wanting to move forward within a supervisory union. And even if that, I would say, and I didn't know this at the time, but um, the task force is listening to boards that are having these kind of conversations, exactly, because it also entails not just redistricting uh, supervisory unions to supervisory district. It could also mean redistricting uh, local districts as well. So I think anything's on the table as far as this goes. I mean, they could draw the map and you know put a bunch of schools in one district, if that were the case. But I don't know. And it's just, I know it's more hypotheticals, but yeah, Amanda.
The only other thing that I would like to add that maybe we should discuss as a board is some clarifying language for our communities. I worry that if we sign this letter and somebody that doesn't listen to this meeting or doesn't fully understand what's going on reads our minutes and reads that we signed this letter, that tomorrow someone's going to say our kids are going to Metawee School. So I think we need some clarifying language for our communities as well, that this is just, advocacy that we are sending out. This is not a plan that's sending our students elsewhere. I know it's just important to me that we clarify that, because I think we're going to have a lot of confused individuals if we don't.
That's a good point. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Julie.
I was just, I'm trying to reflect and hear what all of you are saying, and I totally get it. I'm just wondering if the letter could say something like, although we have concerns about some of the provisions and effectiveness and efficiency of some of the provisions of Act 73, we have reflected on where we might best partner, and we feel that one of our best partners would be the Metawee School District, or something like that. That I think encompasses some of the concerns that I heard from Mary and also Amanda, that you're not advocating for any sort of formal merger, and that you are not all the way embracing Act 73, but that you acknowledge that if you have to choose somebody to partner with, that you would think that we would be the better partner. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not married to that language. Maybe somebody has better ideas. I'm just trying to incorporate what everyone's talking about into a statement that makes sense for your community and also the task force.
Yep, thank you for that. Amanda?
I don't think Julie has a bad idea. I think that language, some of that could work. I was leaning more towards maybe a closing statement, like from the board, a clarifying statement. I just think that in our communities, we've seen people read the minutes, and the minutes will reflect that Wells Springs sent a letter supporting, the preference of joining Metawee, and I just think that it's not clear to everybody that they wouldn't think that means a merger. So I think the letter can say whatever language the board agrees with, and that's fine. But I also think the reality is our community is not going to read the letter, and the board needs a closing statement that clarifies what we did, regardless of whatever we decide, because I think we've learned over the last couple of years with our community engagement that our community doesn't always scroll down and read everything. So we need a very clear message of what we're doing tonight, I think, in addition to whatever.
I like think back on like when we joined the Rural Schools Community Alliance, and that was pretty clear. So maybe like we can, somewhat mimic that language, but I also want to give our community credit to that they do read the minutes and they do engage. I'm just thinking back of like when we joined that, the Rural Schools Alliance, our partnership with them was pretty clear. We did, join their advocacy. We signed on as a school board, and it was pretty clear from there on up. But I do also agree with what Julie said. I mean, as far as school choice goes, that's the reason my family moved to Middletown. So, I mean, I 100% support that part of the idea that we have moving forward. I just wanted to make that clear, whether, like Eric said, it's law at this point. So,
Jordan?
I agree with what Julia said before about overthinking this, but I mean, there's two things that I'm looking to preserve as best as possible for our students and families, and that's choice and trying to keep the kids closer to home as much as we possibly can. And that's as complicated as I want to make this. With what Amanda has said, if you read the paper up here the last couple of days, Proctor's now going to Otter Valley. So people are going to think what they think. We've made it very clear in our efforts and in the public forum we had that we're trying to maintain some local control and to keep the kids close as we can. And we can't interpret any more of this for people that don't read everything that we put out there. So I think this is another way to do those twin objectives, to issue this letter. I think it's a good idea. It's another effort on our part to kind of shape the final decision of Act 73. Thank you.
yeah, I would second what George just said for sure.
Okay. Yeah, and just my only concern in all of this is as long as it doesn't contradict our previous discussions or decisions based off of where we want to move forward with, and where we want to see the district end up, in throughout all of this. But okay, and I think Amanda.
Sorry, I was just going to say that back to Meredith's motion that she made a while ago. I would like to second Meredith's motion with maybe some language change around supporting or the not supporting Act 73 to respond to Mary's concerns. So maybe we use Julie's language or someone else's, but I'd like to second that, and then we can further discuss wording.
So, so basically, you want to amend her motion, correct? It sounds like
Yes, but don't we need a second and then an amendment following discussion?
no. We don't need a second.
Okay.
So, okay. So, typically, I mean, if you're gonna amend her motion, you want to add or strike language. I think that's usually the simplest way to do it. And Meredith, again, I have, I think part of your motion, yeah, to sign a letter communicating to the task force, and
And you need more information? Oh, hello?
oh, sorry, yeah, the rest of it wasn't clear.
So we agree to communicate to the redistricting task force that, so you want to amend, so you do not want to say, while we do not support Act 73. So that's, I guess, coming out. If consolidation does occur, we prefer to partnership with the Metawee community, which includes the towns of Paulet and Rupert.
Okay, that was your motion. Okay. And Amanda,
I was just suggesting we amend that to use some of Julie's language or language that we come up with on our own, just clarifying that, you know, we're not in full support of Act 73. If we don't want to say that as a board, we don't support Act 73, we need some language around, we don't like what you're trying to do to us.
Well, Amanda, if I may, we're asking them to consider something after we tell them we don't like what you're doing. I think we should just be neutral on that point.
yeah, I think in terms of, so we can do a couple different things. And I agree because, again, the task force has a job to create 3 maps. That's their job. Like all the, all the debate over Act 73 doesn't matter. Their job is to make the 3 maps. They've made that clear. If you're following any of the meetings, but I think in terms of Meredith's motion to at least agree and sign a letter and communicate to the task force. I think one of the things that I would also like to do is, what do we want that letter to specifically say as well? And I've heard a lot of different things on that too that we can incorporate into that letter. So and I don't know, in the past, we could do, that might be something that we can, like, I don't know, if we wanted to do that tonight, or if that's something we want to, delegate, like maybe myself and Meredith can work on the language based off of the feedback we get from the board. I'm just trying to consider everyone's time too. So, any thoughts on that?
I don't think there's any rush to get this letter out there, although I do believe it's an important step. I want to thank Julie for, pursuing a union with us. Possibly designate a little rewrite. That's something that could be sent out with the packet for next month's meeting, and then we can comment on it or possibly approve it at our next full meeting.
Okay.
Shoulders.
Yeah, hey George,
I am
I'm not
concerned about the timeliness of this.
Yeah, I am as well, Meredith.
Say that again.
I'm concerned about the timeliness of this. I think putting this off until for another 2.5 weeks is not the best course of action.
Okay.
And I think that's why we called the special meeting, to be honest. So I think, in my opinion, if we could come to a resolution tonight, that'd be great.
Okay. Amanda?
I think it would be fair for you and Meredith to compose the letter if that's something you guys are willing and able to do. I think in the past we've already decided as a board that you and Meredith can work together on things, and I would be in favor of you guys composing a letter sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm up for whatever the board wants to do, honestly. I mean, we could, it sounds like that we do want something, folks do want something sooner rather than later. And, we can, I guess it depends on how big of a letter we want to send. We could do it tonight, or what's the pleasure of the board, honestly. I think in the past we've done something like that, just for the sake of for time, and but and I know I wasn't thinking of even preparing something tonight that we would write to the task force. I thought, initially we'd just decide whether we wanted to move forward with this. So that's kind of where my head is at.
Meredith is good with words. Maybe she already has something put together in her head.
I tended to head towards a more simple format here and be a rather because what we're talking about is not maybe all that broad. I think, as Julie said earlier, this is just a piece here. I don't think it has to be all encompassing, and that's sort of why we can agree on it this evening without being too broad. As far as designing the letter, I don't know what Eric's schedule's like, but we can draft something and go back and forth between the two of us.
Yeah.
Were we signing this independently, or was the Metawee board signing it with us? Was this a joint letter?
Julie, my understanding was separately.
Oh, my initial letter had asked if you would like to send a joint statement. But
Oh.
either way is fine with me. If we want, we can send one separately from Wells Springs. I also want to say I tend to agree with Meredith. I think these people are getting a lot of words from a lot of people, and I would be willing to send something as simple as a single paragraph that says something to the effect of, we, the boards of the Metawee School District, comprising of the towns of Paulet and Rupert, and the Wells Springs School District, comprising of the towns of Wells and Middletown Springs, have some concerns about Act 73. However, we come together as one to say that if consolidation is to move forward, we would like to be partners in a newly consolidated system.
Yep.
The only thing I might want to consider adding into there is specific language about how important choice is to our communities.
I would agree with Meredith.
That sounds like a good addition.
Because honestly, that is the unifying piece for us.
Yeah.
How about just a statement? The loss of school choice for all 4 of our towns would be detrimental. Just like very simple. Simple statement.
Or maybe the preservation of school choice is important to all of our communities.
Yeah, I think trying to frame it in a positive light is a better direction than saying a negative.
Okay. All right. So is anyone opposed to the idea of Meredith, myself, composing something with this, with all these ideas? I've been taking notes, and that way we can get something to the task force sooner rather than later.
No, I agree with that. If that's the language that Julie pretty much laid out, and a statement about the importance of choice that Meredith is suggesting, I say let's go for it.
Yep. Okay. All right. So we do, I mean, we do have a motion on the floor. And so if there's anything else, if no one else has anything else to add, call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Mary, are you there? Maybe she stepped away. Okay.
To clarify, this is a joint letter. I'm in favor of a joint letter. I just didn't know if we needed to clarify that.
Yeah, it got a little murky there because I'm not sure Eric and I need to even work on it. It is a joint one paragraph roughly letter that Julie was suggesting.
A joint letter's fine.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's joint, I think that, you know, it would be good that we agree on everything before it goes out. You know, I know we're talking about it, but I think it would be good just to have, you know, eyes on it and read it, even wordsmith it a little bit. So it's something that basically aligns to our discussion, you know. And I know it, you know, I kind of get the idea, you know, like keep it simple to a certain extent, but you know, I think some of the words in there can make a difference too, you know, like partners, you know, what does that mean? You know, I can interpret that different ways, you know. Again, if, depending on what we're looking at, you know, two different models of governance, you know, it makes a huge difference, in my opinion, because of just how it's structured, and you know, we can see how that limits our local involvement, is what I want to say.
Eric, I think like at our last meeting when we talked about talking about this letter, I think I brought up that this is kind of the input that they're asking for as far as the redistricting task force. So I just don't want to overthink it too much, because I really think that this is what they're asking for, is the type of local input, especially school boards coming together with the support of their community and, you know, giving a voice. So again, I would just, you know, second Meredith and George and Amanda, as well as you, to just move forward with, you know, a statement, you know,
Okay.
tonight.
All right. And you know, I did call the vote, and I think you stepped away. So were you in favor?
Yes. Sorry. My
Okay.
daughter was in the bathroom and she needed me.
I just wanted to make sure, you know, just to make sure.
Yes. Thanks, Eric.
Okay. So, all right. I think we have a pretty good consensus on this. And any other discussion on Act 73, or to clarify our next steps? I think Amanda, you brought up earlier, you know, some kind of clarifying statement for the community. You know, maybe that's something that we can discuss at our next regular meeting as well.
I don't feel super strongly either way. It sounded like some other members of the board thought it wasn't necessary, so I'm not pushing for that closing statement. I'm okay either way. I just think that we've learned together as a board in the last couple of years that our communities are very easily confused, and sometimes we just have to make things very brief and very clear. And so I didn't know if, given what we've already learned, if we should or should not have a statement. So I'm fine with discussing it at the next board meeting and seeing how everybody feels, but I'm also okay if I'm the only one that feels that way.
Okay. I just want to make sure it was something you mentioned, and you know, I think you know, it, you know, and this would be something that it makes sense to me. It's something addressed to the community in regards to the decision we're making, because um, you know, it's one thing to read it in the news or hear about it from someone else. It something, you know, that we could put in even the email subscription to just kind of. But again, I
Yeah,
think
I mean, maybe we send a MailChimp with a copy of this letter because it is a public document. So maybe we compose one of our special messages with a copy of this letter, a basic explanation of what we did, and just a clarifying statement. And I don't want to ramble about it and go off topic, but an example is, you know, there were people at the diner 2 nights ago talking about how the whole school was closed when in fact it was just pre-K. So I think it's important that we be very clear because words get very easily twisted. And that's all. That's all. Just want to be clear.
cool. And okay, sounds good. I just wanted to be clear if you wanted this or not. So okay. All right. So that's all we have for tonight. If there's no other discussion on Act 73 or the letter, I'll take a motion to adjourn. 6:48.
I'll make that motion, but just to assure everyone, including Amanda especially, this will be on the agenda for next month's meeting. There's a chance we might see the results of this meeting in the Herald soon. So we're doing our best to get the word out there and discuss this. So it's a positive step forward, and I'll make that motion. We adjourn.
Okay. Before we adjourn, Meredith, then Mary, you're muted.
Did you want to ask for public comment again?
It's I didn't put it on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
So
Just checking.
yeah. Otherwise, kind of an oversight. Usually it's on there twice, but yeah. Mary? Oh.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Julie for coming.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
all
Julie.
for having a special meeting for this and being willing to engage. It's nice to have people that care and want to engage and do the right thing. It's hard. This is really hard stuff.
It is. It is. I agree. I don't know where to begin. There's so many things going on, and but yeah, I felt it. I think it's important, and you know, have these conversations, and yeah. So thank you. I'll reiterate what Mary said. So we appreciate it, and thank you for clarifying the intent and everything, and answering questions. So, but with that, George made a motion to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Bye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned at 6:50. Thank you.